Hi, welcome back to True Colors audiobook. This is chapter 24. In the last episode, the vile powers has threatened Michael's life now if Cassie doesn't give herself to him. Then the man who had hidden the cipher disk that Cassie found in the sawdust draws her even further into secrecy by passing a message to her via a very public and passionate kiss on his way to being executed. Join her and Michael next time as the investigation into Ragin's murder takes place.
True Colors, Chapter 24. Michael returned the following afternoon. Our most recent parting, like so many others, had been under convoluted circumstances. Our last topic of conversation was annulment, but I always feared for his safety when he was gone, and the void accompanying his absence never filled. "Are you all right?" he asked as he dismounted. "I was informed of what happened here yesterday. What a tragic waste." I stood leaning against the doorframe of my cabin. "Is anything going to be done about it?" "Done about what?" "About punishing the ones responsible for Ragin's death." "Cassie, the man was trying to escape, and the guards carried out their duty." "Is that the story that made it to the Capitol? Doesn't it seem just a little strange to someone like yourself, who thinks so logically, that a man would run through the main gate in broad daylight?" "I questioned that, but was told he hadn't been in his right mind for several days. He just got it into his head to break and run." "He was in no condition to run after the battering he took." "What battering?" "The guards had him buried immediately to prevent any questions from arising that would contradict their reports. One look at his face and torso would prove what really happened." "What are you saying? What really happened?" "It was murder, pure and simple." He looked nervously about the area, gestured for me to enter the cabin, then entered and closed the door. "There's no need for secrecy. We all saw it." I recounted how they dragged Ragin, already beaten and bloody, from the barrack. Then they forced him to go out. A guard held a gun to a prisoner's head and told Ragin they'd kill us all one by one until he moved away from the stockade. My throat constricted. So he did. But why would they want to kill him? They said he was a spy, though they had no proof, and with him being in his government's uniform, they couldn't technically handle it as an espionage case. But if they suspected him of spying, why didn't they just turn him over to us in Richmond? None of us can figure that out. Well, I intend to figure it out. You said all of the prisoners witnessed this murder? All of the ones in Ragin's barrack and scores of others. He was in barrack number 1. "Then I'll go there first." He turned to leave. "Michael, I realize your interest in this stems from your involvement in espionage matters, but I'm glad you're here to look into this. This isn't just professional interest. There's been a gross injustice committed here, and I want to see the guilty parties pay." He gave my shoulder a sympathetic squeeze. "Were you acquainted with this Ragin?" I hesitated, then answered, "No." "I'm sure it was horrifying for you just the same." He returned an hour later. The prisoners had been unwilling at first to talk to any Confederate officer about the event, but Michael had prevailed upon them to tell what they knew in hopes that Ragin's murderers would come to justice. Michael possessed more than just a powerful gift of persuasion. In him was a rare quality, an empathy, that men could read as genuine despite any formal enmity between them. The prisoners informed him of what happened in the barrack before I caught sight of the pandemonium outside. The guards had accused Ragin of possessing some type of code deciphering tool. My heart skipped. "If he did," Michael said, "he carried the secret of its whereabouts to his death." Fourth board, southeast corner. A haunting chill ran up my spine. Taking slow, deliberate steps, he paced before the small fireplace. I heard something from the men that makes for a slight discrepancy with what you said. What discrepancy? I was told Ragin spent some time in the infirmary a while back. Yes, he did. Then why did you say you were not acquainted with him? I didn't think that by acquainted with you meant medical treatment. Did you ever dance with him? I was sure he already ascertained that I had. I suppose I've danced with nearly all the prisoners at least once. Michael, why do I get the feeling I'm being interrogated? Because if Ragin was a spy, I want to be sure you're not involved in any way. I'm certainly not involved. I turned my back to him and placed my hand on the back of the desk chair. His questions then came rapid fire. You had no other encounters with him? No. Did he ever hint to you that he was more than a foot soldier? No. Do you know anything about a cipher disk? No. Did anything, aside from his tongue, enter your mouth when you kissed him? My breath caught. He came to my side and turned me to him. I know all about his last request. I was in shock. I didn't know what he was going to do. Cassie, you kissed him. I didn't kiss him. He kissed me. And with no small amount of ardor, from what I hear. I tried to turn away, but he held me in place. Tell me the truth. Was that kiss more than just a dying man's ultimate petition? Our eyes held for several heartbeats, and I nearly crumbled and came clean under the power of his gaze. But to my relief, the interrogation ended. When my heart slowed and I could once again work moisture into my mouth, I asked, "What will you do now?" The men gave me the names of the 7 guards who took part in it. I'll initiate a formal investigation as soon as I get to Richmond. 7 guards? I counted 8. He removed a piece of paper from his tunic pocket. Here are the names they gave me. They accounted for 5 on the ground and 2 sentinels in the parapet. I read the names on the list. There's one missing. Sergeant Powers. The chief guard? No one mentioned seeing him. I saw him. Could you be mistaken? A couple of the men even said they believe if Powers had been there, this never would have happened. Never would have. Michael, he was... Behind it all is what I nearly blurted out. Between what Ragin said about his being dangerous and Powers' gloating afterwards, I was sure of it. But until Powers was put away, I dared not say anything that could jeopardize Michael's safety. If Powers knew I implicated him, he would go after Michael for sure, and perhaps some of the prisoners. But I had to reveal enough to at least have him investigated and allow the evidence to unfold. He was there. He added Powers' name to the list as if my word left no question in his mind. Would it be possible to keep our names in confidence? He cast me a curious glance. I suppose so, until each guard must face his accuser at a tribunal. If you're the only one who saw Powers... I understand. Is there something I should know about Cassie? I'm sure everything will come out in the investigation. Michael suggested we get out of the cabin and take advantage of the sunny winter afternoon. We walked to the grassy spot for the first time in a long while. Are you short of any supplies? Do you know what I lie awake at night wishing for? A bottle of glycerin and cucumber lotion. This cold air and the chlorine I wash my hands with, or used to anyway, have them feeling like burlap. The rest of me is fine, though, thanks to the wool coat you brought me last time. It keeps me real snug and warm. And the color suits you? You know it does. It was a splendid shade of federal blue. I only wish Lieutenant Davidson was as efficient at keeping up with the medical supplies as you are with provisions for me. We're short on linens, bandages, and all sorts of medicines. He refuses to replenish the chlorine. Laudanum is as scarce as bird droppings in a cuckoo clock." He chuckled. "Where do you pick up such figures of speech?" I offered a Byron shrug. "Military types." Too soon, the crimson color of the western sky signaled Michael that he needed to head back to town. "I'll initiate the investigation about the shooting right away, but I'm leaving again in the morning. I hope to finish up this business quickly and be back for Christmas Day. I've been trying to find you a special gift." "You needn't. It'll hardly seem like Christmas anyway, and I certainly can't reciprocate." He laid a gentle hand against my cheek, which the day before had been ruthlessly swallowed in Power's painful grasp. "I have just one gift in mind, and only one more place it might be found. After that, I'm afraid I'll have to give up on the idea." We strode to where midnight waited. Michael prepared to mount, then removed his foot from the stirrup. He stood facing his horse, fumbling with the fender of the saddle. "About the kiss," I looked to the ground. "I know that when it comes time for me to... What I mean is, there's nothing in this world I'd rather take with me than the feel of your soft kiss on my lips." Take with him when he faced death, or take with him now? Was this next mission one in which he would be facing death? His eyes never left the dull brown leather they were fastened on, thus he did not notice me take a step forward in heartfelt acquiescence. He mounted and departed. On Christmas morning I went to the barrack area where a special service was being held. Preacher Tom, a farmer minister from Ohio, led us in singing carols and preached a moving message on how we should consider that despite our baneful circumstances, the only gift we'll ever truly need was provided for us on that very first Christmas. I had to agree. As Paul said in Romans 8:35, nothing could separate me from the love of Christ. Not tribulation, not distress, not persecution, not famine, not nakedness, not peril, not sword, not confinement in a prison camp. Nothing. Despite it being Christmas, it was also Friday, laundry day, and there was no one else to take to the task since all of the infirmary workers were off for the weekend. I carried the basket of washed linens and aprons to the patch of grass to lay them in the sun. A handsome, gray-clad figure stood there watching me approach, almost as if he were expecting me. I hadn't seen him since our first encounter, this striking man who months ago warned me about challenging powers. "Merry Christmas," I said as he relieved me of my burden of wet laundry. "What awful offense did you commit in order to get stuck with duty on this fine Christmas day?" "There's no punishment involved." His smile was disarming. "It's simply my assignment, and not such an unpleasant one." I thanked him for his help as he set the heavy basket down. "You know, I'm curious about your uniform. How does one acknowledge your rank if you bear no insignias or chevrons or braids?" "No one need acknowledge my rank." "Why not? Are you in some kind of special regiment or something?" "That's it exactly, Miss Golden." "Not one that sees much action, if his impeccably manicured uniform was any gauge. But I was glad for that, for I liked this man and somehow felt safe in his presence, and he was definitely the first man I had ever known who took no thought of helping a woman lay out her laundry. We talked for some time on many subjects, though he never did tell me his name. Then he had to go. We rose and faced each other. "Miss Cassie, your imprisonment here is difficult, I know, but necessary. Right now you see through a glass darkly, but one day it shall all be clear." I doubt the man had any idea of the serenity his companionship brought me. I wished for him to stay and converse longer, but he declined for reasons he did not share with me. "Could you at least tell me your name?" "Name's not important." "But I shall remember what you said." His smile divulged that he recalled how our last conversation ended just this way. The camp was uncommonly quiet as I knelt to turn and smooth out the drying linens. Most of the prisoners remained in the barracks, reading and writing letters or sorting through items they'd received in the previous day's mail delivery. Guards strolled the perimeter. The voices of men singing carols floated like silvery snowflakes through the crisp, dry air. I began to sing along to the tune of Silent Night. Footsteps whispered behind me. They came to a halt, casting a shadow across my drying laundry. "Changed your mind, did you, nameless soldier? I'm grateful for the company, but could you please hurl your silhouette a little to the side? There's precious little sunlight these days as it is." The silent figure remained steadfast. My heart contracted a surge of blood. Powers was to have had the day off. Lifting my eyes, I scanned the corner area of the stockade before me. Empty. Slowly, I half turned my head and searched for even a single man about. There was no one. The shadow drifted ghost-like across the grass and melded with my own as its progenitor moved to stand directly behind me. Terror crept into my chest. A single spoken word hung suspended in the air. I lost perception of all else. With faltering movements, I turned and cast my eyes upward. Painfully glaring rays from the afternoon sun blinded me. I lifted my hand to my forehead. His face remained shrouded in an umbra, and I could not make out his features clearly. It was only when he took a sidestep, eclipsing the sun, that my eyes adjusted and focused on the face of the one I believed I had lost forever.
Well, Cassie didn't anticipate being interrogated herself during the investigation into Ragin's death, but Michael digs deep to find truths. And another secret is evolving, one that is shocking and will change Cassie's life. Join her next time and find out who that ghost-like shadow belongs to. Like and subscribe if you would. I'll see you next time.